Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Kennedy Kampamba channel, whereby I'm bringing to you what is happening and what is trending in Zambia politically and everyday life. Please like and subscribe to my channel and enjoy my channel. Thank you very much.
Mr. Secretary General of the United Party for National Development, let me just say that the alliance partners that are present here today, members of parliament that are here, let me recognize our own National Secretary for the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, Madam Elizabeth Chitika. Let me recognize the entire National Executive Committee members that have come with us from the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy, and also the Management Committee members that are present here from the UPND. There are so many officials that are here. We recognize you. Let me again recognize the gallant soldiers of the media that have always been there to help us take the message we have to the rest of the country. All of you that are here, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to this press conference this morning. Allow me to start by making a statement. Then after the statement, we may have a few questions that we can handle today. Fellow countrymen, Zambia is at war. A relentless war between good and evil. A war between truth and lies. Space has been dominated, especially social media, has been dominated and poisoned by lies. Zambians are being served on lies by a relentless group of individuals who feel threatened by many things, including the nearness of the 2026 general election, and also President Hakainde Hichilema's relentless fight against corruption. We should pray for all gullible Zambians who are daily drinking from the chalice of poisoned waters. It is important to understand that our colleagues that are using lies to peddle their position are doing so deliberately, knowing that they can mislead the Zambian people and misinform them on the actual things that are taking place in our country. Let me talk about the culture of lies in our nation and how dangerous the culture of lies is to any society. At the beginning of the constitutional debate, a number of politicians decided to start a war on truth. They claimed that they had a document of the proposed amendments. Some of the amendments were that President Hichilema was going to remove the 50% plus one clause from the Constitution. They also claimed that the amendments were also aimed at removing the running mate clause and many other false claims. That may sound like just normal for the country and think about the people of this country. Unfortunately, there is more evil than good in the world. In fact, the Bible puts it this way: broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many be that are on it. In other words, if you want to walk the narrow path of truth, justice, and honesty, you may be surrounded by very few people. But when you start to live a life of lie and deceit, you have a lot of company, because the Bible is clear about it. Broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many people are walking on it. It is because of this that the victims of lies are the ordinary Zambians who start their day scrolling through social media instead of the Bible. They believe every propaganda they read on social media. Eventually they vote based on false information and then cry for the rest of that 5 years. We expected these politicians who lied to apologize to the Zambian people for lying to them. But to say sorry demands moral fortitude, which our colleagues obviously lack. I expected our brothers, when they found out that the thematic issues that were going to be considered for amendment None of them included what they were telling the nation. One would think that anybody aspiring to be president or leader in this country would go back to the people he lied to and say, sorry, I was misinformed by the agents that we have sent inside the system to notify us as to what's happening inside, and we apologize for misleading the country. But unfortunately, to do that, you need to have some kind of moral fortitude and character. And a lot of our leaders, or maybe politicians, do not have that at all. But I have a message to the people of Zambia. A message, before I go to the people of Zambia, I have a message for the UPND Alliance media. And I thought that I needed to speak about this because we want to understand the extent of the challenge that we are facing. The battle of information, lies, and truths has never been as vicious as it is now. We must fight and fight. We must fight lies with truth, because only truth can dispel lies. So we can't fight lies with lies. We have to stand on truth. And President Hakainde Hichilema and the Alliance team, we are dedicated and committed to wanting to stand on the truth. And you media team members don't have to lie to defend what's going on. Speak the truth. It's the best way to defeat evil. If you speak evil against evil, you are sinking together with the evil people. Truth shall always set you free. So we must fight evil with good. Don't relent. Speak the truth in the morning, at breakfast. Speak the truth at lunchtime. Speak the truth at dinner time. Do not relent. Speak the truth and keep speaking it. Because it is a war. You don't stop fighting until you defeat the enemy. Your enemies clearly have a motive. They are desperate. They are running out of time. I've been in politics for 28 years. I've approached many elections. And good politicians in the country know already that the next election is just around the corner. And a lot of political leaders feel totally unprepared. A lot of disarray in their circles. So the only thing left is to misinform, to fight, to be dirty in order to obstruct what is coming. They know that unless there is a miracle that happens, they don't stand a chance of winning the next election. So they have a very powerful motive to become destructive. So they are desperate. They are running out of time. There are many moral Zambians. I want to encourage you that there are many moral Zambians that are listening to the truth. So use every tool in your hands to tell Zambians the truth, because the temptation is that no one is listening, and the only way for them to listen is if we tell lies. So my message to the media team is that do not say that you have said enough. Keep repeating the same issue. Keep saying it over and over and over. Somebody's listening. I know that the distractors are louder than us, but keep talking. Let me now send a clear message to the Zambian people. These distractors that I'm talking about today, and I'm really upset about it, that's why I keep talking about distractors. Why is it so difficult for some people just to tell the truth for a change? It's so complicated for them to say the truth. In fact, when they say the truth, they get sick because it is not in their nature to say the truth. So they want to convince Zambians. They want to convince Zambians that HH has destroyed the economy as the sixth poorest nation on earth. The truth, however, is that both of these two sins were committed by the Patriotic Front. And HH's job has been to pull the economy out of the dungeon of this despair. But because lies move faster than the truth, some Zambians are starting to believe that the current crisis in Zambia has been caused by HH, who has only been in power for 3 years. They have forgotten how this economy was wrecked by our colleagues who were in government. And you media team, do not be misled. I told you just when UPND won the election. Don't buy into the narrative that when they threaten you, stop talking about PF. Just talk about what you're going to do for the Zambian people. PF is already out of government. The reason you are in government is because we removed them. Just tell us what you're going to do. It sounds very romantic, but it's wrong. If they messed up, tell the Zambian people every day that these are culprits who stop. Because if you don't, before long they come to the front and look like they are the holy angels and you're the dirty guys. And they're succeeding. If you are not careful, the criminals are becoming the saints, and the saints are looking like criminals. I warn the media team, keep telling the history. That's why in school we have a history lesson, so that they're constantly reminding us, this is what happened, these were responsible, and we should never do this again. So the day you media team stop citing what made Zambia the sixth poorest country, then you are losing this battle. And you must understand that to win at the ballot, you first have to win at the voice. It's the voice that gives you victory at the ballot. If you lose the voice battle, you lost the ballot battle. And these opponents know that. That's why they are consistently turning out lies, so that the Zambian people are submerged in misinformation. That when they go to the ballot, they are going to use misinformation to make their decision as to who to vote for. Propagandists did it to MMD. I can give you this example. They ran the party, some of these people ran the party, our party MMD, into a crushing defeat in 2011. And when we took over in 2012, my leadership, they claimed that we are the ones who destroyed the fortunes of the party. Evil always seems to move faster than good. Even the people who are responsible for the crisis become saints. I said to the Zambian people, we have been fooled before. Let's not always get fooled. Let's know the truth and investigate. Allow me now to deal with the national debate on the amendments. First of all, let me salute President Hakainde Hichilema, the UPND government, and the alliance partners for creating such a conducive atmosphere for this debate to take the shape that it has taken. This is what a democracy looks like. Everybody, including everybody, is giving their views on these amendments. This is as it should be. You can go in other countries surrounding us, you may not be able to do this. But here in Zambia, everybody can do it. All we are asking you, debate, but don't lie. Debate, but don't hate. Debate, but don't insult. Debate, but don't misinform people. Because leadership is about being an intelligent debater. That's what leadership is all about. A lot of people that don't have intelligence, they insult instead of debating. Because they don't think straight. They cannot analyze issues. They don't read. A lot of political leaders who debate and issue statements don't even read. The thematic issues for amendment, a lot of them have not even read them. But let me say this. We encourage those opposing the amendments to take time to read them before writing a statement. The 13 thematic areas that have been brought out by the Ministry of Justice are non-controversial, as we say in Parliament. Let me first address myself to a video clip that we made in 2020 when we vehemently opposed Bill 10, which has been trending on social media. Let me be clear. Bill 10 was a poison chalice loaded with serious flaws. It encompassed a whopping 79 thematic areas, most of which were meant to serve the interest of the Patriotic Front. Remember, this current proposed amendment list of thematic issues has only got 13 thematic areas. Bill 10 had 79 thematic areas. It encompassed a whopping 79 thematic areas, most of which were meant to serve the interests of the Patriotic Front. It was a wholesale amendment of the Constitution. to blot cabinet, to reintroduce deputy ministers. At the time the country was defaulting on its foreign debt obligations. We read it in shock. Therefore, the statement I made on that video clip, we as the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy stand solidly behind that statement today as we did that time. No apologies about it. And we think that it is important for us to make that statement. The Constitution says, we the people. We gave power to Parliament to amend, we the people. That's you, myself, everybody else, the Zambian people. We gave power to Parliament to amend the laws as deemed necessary, but we refused to give them power to touch Article 79 and Part 3 of the Constitution dealing with the Bill of Rights. We told them only after consulting us through a referendum should you dare touch Article 79 and Part 3 of the Constitution. Sounds like what God told Adam and Eve. Of every tree in the garden you can touch, but of the tree of good and evil don't you dare touch it. That's what the Zambians told the parliamentarians and also presidents and governments. Don't you play with those two. But anything else in the Constitution, we have prescribed under Article 79 the process that you must take in order for you to arrive at the amendment. They gave us clear directions. Zambians have given clear direction. We urge government, therefore, to speed up the process in order to achieve this before the next election. Never in the history of our nation have the youth expressed so much interest in participating in governance. Let us capture them now while their interest is still up there. Our women folk have tried hard to participate in politics, but their presence is very minimal up to this day. Our brothers and sisters with disabilities have completely been thrown out as though they are not Zambians. MMD respects not only the women, not only the youth, and this alliance respects not only the women, not only the youth, but even our brothers and sisters with disabilities. MMD has on our team deaf person who is right behind me right there. He is a member of our National Executive Committee, and that's why we have an interpreter there interpreting for him. Why? Because these are Zambians just like us. The fact that he can't speak does not mean he doesn't have thoughts to contribute to the governance of this country. And in the coming election, we are starting a program where we are literally training women, youth, and people with disabilities to prepare to become members of parliament. Before they stand, we want to give them a training, unlike what happened before, when people were just, taken from the streets. They have no clue about governance, and you put them in parliament. No wonder the other 10 years were almost wasted 10 years, because there was no preparation of these people. So we are determined not only to have them elected, but to prepare them for the election. So that is something that I wanted to say. So the proposed amendments are meant to cure this problem. If any politician is opposed to this, then we are not in politics for the same reason. Some of the most urgent amendments include the withdrawal of candidates after having filed in which that withdrawal is going to result into the collapsing of an entire election. I'll give you an example, and the reason we're passionate that these amendments must take place. MMD has a story, and the story comes from 2021 election. Prior to that 2021 election, the Patriotic Front assaulted the MMD by massive misinformation and pumped in millions of kwacha, going around the country to say MMD has resolved that they were going to vote for Mr. Edgar Lungu. And they sent them all over the country with t-shirts written 100% PF, and at the back they wrote 100% MMD, and claimed that Nevers Mumba and his administration have endorsed Edgar Lungu. But it was only a few weeks before, 2 months before the election. We couldn't fight it back because we didn't have the resources to fight that propaganda. So we decided that I was going to pull out of the election as a presidential candidate in 2021. Somehow the news got out that Nevers Mumba was going to pull out. I've never received so many phone calls in my life in a short period. The American ambassador called, the British High Commissioner called, the European ambassador called, and SADC Observer Mission Chairman called, AU called. Everybody was calling, including Fred Member, the president of Socialist Party, called, pleading, Brother Nevers, please don't do it. Don't, Brother Nevers, don't do it. You know you're a strong voice in this country, and don't do it. And my own brother, President Hakainde Hichilema, at that time both of us were in this thing, going to the election. He called, he said, my brother, what is going on? But I whispered to him, I said, don't worry about this issue. And I briefed him in totality. So he was at peace, because I told him what our position was. That we have not really decided that we're going to do it, but we went to ECZ to help us by them asking PF to retract what they were doing. And ECZ refused. So we threatened that we're going to pull out. But when we learned that my pulling out would mean collapsing the whole election and starting all over again, and it would cost money to the taxpayer, we had to think twice. And we had to just say, let's die. We knew we were going to lose and lose badly, but it's better to keep the integrity of this election rather than become the fly that spoils the soup. We went to the election injured, but angry because of what PF did. If we had pulled out, Mr. Secretary General, in that moment, we would not be here today. I can tell you, PF would have won that election. Because at that time, they had been weakened, all their tricks, we had found them out, so they were going to have time to reorganize themselves and come using a different angle to win the election. So I'm glad we did not pull out. Because if we had pulled out, we would have collapsed that election. Why? Because the Constitution was wrong. It provided that if Nevers Mumba pulls out, or any candidate pulls out, the whole election collapses. And you have to start after 90 days by starting new nomination. Is this the clause we want to take into the next election? Zambian people, even if you are doing politics, some of these things you must think through them. Even if you hate HH, even if you hate the UPND Alliance people, these things, think through them on behalf of the Zambian people. Let me tell the Zambian people, if we don't change this, even I, Nevers Mumba, can make HH last longer as president after this coming election. I can do that. I file in the nomination, then after a while I pull out, I collapse the election. And then we start all over again, and I file again, because there is no law that tells me I can't file twice in the next one. And after a while, I pull out again. And nobody can accuse me because I'm within the Constitution. Yes. I can do that for 1 year if I want my brother HH to remain in power for longer than the Constitution stipulates. And this is why we are saying, let's be real. In any case, those of you that are saying HH wants to use this Constitution to advance himself, what kind of a politician would he be? He goes to Parliament and tells Parliament that, fellow countrymen, there's a lacuna in this Constitution. He said it. Nobody said it, but he said it. He said, fellow countrymen, there's a lacuna in this Constitution that can make a president stay longer than the Constitution stipulates. And I'm concerned because I don't want to be tempted. I don't want any other president to come and be tempted by this clause. Can we fix this? That's what HH said. And his opponents went out to town. Now we know why he's talking about lacuna. He's the lacuna himself. No, he's not the lacuna. The lacuna is that he can stay in office longer. And he told you himself. That's honesty. Yes. That's honesty. That's right. If he was a crook, if he was a crooked man, he would have just shut his mouth and left that lacuna there. And then at the end, he said, Mwana Nevers, can you pull out? Nice. No, pull out. After 3 months, he says, Mwana Nevers, can you pull out? I pull out again. Because I'm protected by the Constitution. But filing. The problem we have is that we don't read. Zambians don't read. A lot of Zambians, including people here, you didn't read Bill 10. You have no idea what was in it. You have not read the 13 thematic issues that we're taking comment for amendment, you're making comments on it.
They just read YB.
Yeah, they're just making comments on it. So I ask members of parliament that please, member of parliament for Mongo Central, before you speak, go to Mongo and talk to them about these 13 thematic points. Ask them, what do you think? Don't just stand there and make a statement. Speak for the people from your province. And I thought that I've made my point there, and I can't go beyond that. Let me now go towards concluding. Let me talk about the process itself. Parliament receives the bill after it has been gazetted. It only receives the bill after it has been gazetted for 30 days. Then it goes for first reading in Parliament. Then a parliamentary select committee is put in place, pursuant to Standing Order number 209 of the National Assembly, which shall again afford the Zambian people to go back to that select committee and make more submissions and clearing to make sure the bill is all right. After that, then we see that the bill goes back for second and third reading. And to pass, it must have a 2/3 majority in Parliament. So the process of people putting in information exists from today right to the time that the second and third readings are being done. There's enough time for everybody to participate in this process. Some people are calling for commissions of inquiry. It's not even in the scriptures. It's not even in the Constitution that there's need for you to do that, because if you notice, it was in which year was that? In 72 when they did the Chona Constitution, and then in 1996 when we're doing the Mvunga Constitution, there were major developments at that time. The first time we were moving from a one-party state to a multi-party state, that's in 1996. Then the other time we were moving from a multi-party state to a one-party state. Then there was need for these review commissions. Right now, the process in Act 79 only stipulates the process that I've given to you. So let me say this. As Nevers Mumba, I am convinced that even the PF members of Parliament shall support this bill, because they need it even more than the party in government. It is for this reason you have not heard senior members or experienced members of the PF like Honorable Munduvile, Honorable George Sanga, even Honorable Kampionga. They are not saying much about this because they know deep down their hearts that this is a very good process, and these amendments are in the interest of the Zambian people and themselves as leaders in their constituencies. So all hands of government must work. Some people have said, and I heard this when they said that someone asked the Minister of Justice, but how does this process help the prices of mealie meal? How does this help the quality of life for Zambians? Fellow Zambians, government operates all hands at the same time. You cannot stop the Ministry of Justice from operating until agriculture produces the maize. You cannot stop Ministry of Finance doing what they're supposed to be doing until the Ministry of Livestock makes sure that all animals have got the vaccine. Everything works out. The Constitution is being made, agriculture is being pursued. That is why government has 23 ministries, each one thrusting as pistons at the same time in order to give movement to the country. You cannot stop, constitution making, waiting for people to have enough money to buy mealie meal. No, because you need a good constitution to create an environment that is going to make it possible for you to have money to buy mealie meal. And these things are interconnected. So please, let's not go there. In conclusion, on October 30th, 2024, we gathered here at Anderson Kambela House and signed a memorandum of understanding between MMD and the UPND. We did this in broad daylight. It was a choice both political parties made. It was a choice between both President HH and myself made based on our long history of fighting for the freedoms of the Zambian people. At that event, I announced that I would not offer myself for election for president in 2026, but instead support the candidature of President H.H. To be clear, this is not the first time we have done this. We did it in 2016 when we signed an electoral pact with the UPND and fielded President H.H. as our common candidate. Those who continue to spread falsehoods that we have just known each other now because UPND is in government are simply being malicious. We remain committed to this partnership until we win in 2026, and winning we shall. I know what a promising leader looks like. I have been in politics for 28 years, and I've been in public life for 46 years. HH is a leader. Yes, he may not be a politician, but he's a leader. Nevers Mumba is not a politician like many people say, but Nevers Mumba is a leader.
That's right.
Our histories, both our histories, attest to this fact. He is a businessman. I am a pastor. We both achieved great things in our separate fields. So it is this success we bring to politics and governance. It is not politics that has made us. It's not politics that has made HH. It's not politics that has made Nevers Mumba. Nevers Mumba was there, he is here, whether in government or not in government, nothing changes, because it's not politics that make us. It's the gift that God has placed within our lives that make us. And it's those gifts we must bring into government to benefit many Zambians. President HH has brought that gift of focus, gift of diligence. Some of you call it the gift of being boring, but I've come to understand that it's the boring leaders sometimes that lead nations in difficult times. It's boring to you because he's not saying dramatic things to get you excited. He's talking programs, he's talking planning, he's talking strategy. A lot of Zambians don't like that. They like politics of, hey, Shani, that's the type of politics they like. HH will not give you that type of politics. You have to wait a long time. Especially if some of us become presidents after that, you won't have those people who talk about noses coming into government ever again, because politics will now become very serious. So it is the gifts of God that has placed in us that bring us into politics. When people condemned Levi Patrick Mwanawasa and called him a cabbage, I saw a focused and disciplined leader. Today, he's considered one of the best presidents Zambia has ever had. I wish to appeal to Zambians that I see very similar traits in HH. He's not playful. He's not a populist leader. He's focused and steady. I have no doubt that in his second term, Zambians shall not regret having given him a vote. Did I say he was an angel? Of course not. If HH was an angel, I would not work with him, because working with angels is very complicated. He's a human being with flaws like all of us, but he is steady. He is focused. None of us are angels, but he's a leader with a proven history, as I've already alluded to it. I therefore recommend him to the church. I recommend him to civil society. I recommend him to our chiefs. I recommend him to our civil servants. I recommend him to our youth. I recommend him to the women and persons with disabilities for president beyond 2026. Let's get ready. May God bless our alliance, and may God bless the people of the Republic of Zambia. I thank you.